Hey there, I wanted to take this opportunity to drop in and tell you about a free private podcast I have called Joe's Audio Notes. You can sign up for it over at casabona.org/notes. But it's basically a very short form, I would say 7 minutes or less, podcast where I just put out quick episodes about what I'm thinking about as it relates to being a solopreneur, a podcaster, a parent. And I've been lightly promoting it over the last few weeks and it's been really well received. So I thought what I would do here is drop 3 of those episodes in the feed back to back, all in this track. So you don't have to go hunting for the other ones, but it'll just be 3 episodes back to back so you can get an idea of what the show is about. And if you want to sign up, like I said, you can head on over to casabona.org/notes. It's totally free. It is just a private podcast, so you'll have to opt in with your email address. And I'd love to hear your feedback on this. So if you want, you can also head over to streamlinedfeedback.com and let me know your thoughts. But without further ado, let's get to these 3 episodes of Joe's Audio Notes. So something I have been thinking about a lot over the last few days with the impending rebrand happening is my content strategy. What am I going to do with my various properties? Am I going to be writing more on casabona.org? How does my podcast fit into all of this? So I decided to do some digging into Google Analytics to see what my most popular content is. Far and away, my most popular post is how I've configured my Stream Deck, my Sony a6400 post, how to automate things in Gmail. And I narrowed down my most popular content across all of my sites into 3 buckets of sorts. Gear, automations, and productivity, process. Not really sure on that end, but I think this is good, right? All of these things, well, not gear. Well, gear maybe, but automations and productivity or process fits into the new rebrand of streamlining and creating space, right? The streamlined equals spacious is the idea behind my brand. And Holly provided the brand guidelines today with mission and what's driving me and all sorts of other great stuff that I'm going to just have in my office as a reminder of, what's on brand. But I think with all of that, I am going to certainly continue to talk about automations as it relates to podcasting or just solopreneurship in general, right? The brand is a personal brand, and it doesn't make a lot of mention about podcasting specifically, which I think is a good idea. Podcasting is one vertical, I think. Maybe it's horizontal. I think either way. Podcasting is one area where I can help people streamline. And it's certainly my most popular one right now, where I've established the most authority. But the personal brand kind of gives me room to discuss other things, more things I've wanted to write about, but I feared it wasn't quote unquote on brand. So gear is something I do like talking a lot about, and I'll be reviewing the Shure MV7 Plus. Not really reviewing, just kind of comparing it. I don't really do reviews. I like doing side by sides sort of things and general impressions. But then also, I get questions about the iPhone and apps and things like that, and I definitely want to talk more about that. But again, I never felt like it was related enough to podcasting. As I settle my brand and my niche more, I can talk to solopreneurs about creating space in their lives. And one of the benefits of creating space is being able to focus on the podcast. And one of the ways you can create space is optimizing your phone or doing more with shortcuts or picking the right apps. So I'm really excited. I know I keep saying this. I'm really excited about the rebrand. And I think that this is really going to give me space to explore more topics that are of interest to me, so that I'm not constantly talking about like why you need to use Calendly to book guests or whatever, right? It allows me to expand out more, which will better serve podcasters and will better serve solopreneurs who want to have a podcast but are losing time in other areas of their lives. So that's what I'm thinking today. My son's jumping outside on the trampoline. That's what I'm thinking today, and I'm excited to start really digging into this. I guess the last thing I'll say is I've kind of had a similar thought with Streamlined Solopreneur. Downloads are down, right? My latest newsletter talks about potholes, and I feel like there have been a lot of potholes since the rebrand of Streamlined Solopreneur. And it's because I didn't really understand or I wasn't talking to the right people. And I'm doing some new and interesting things there too. So, yeah, I'm excited about this direction. I think it'll make for a better newsletter. I think it'll make for better content in general. And I think it'll help me serve my target audience more. So, yeah, super excited about that. All right. Thanks for listening. And until next time. Today I want to talk about pursuing ideas as a solopreneur. It's something I've been thinking about a lot because I'm in a mastermind group called Podmatch Elite. And every month we do an accountability check-in where we talk about what we're working on for the month and how we want to stay accountable. This month I decided, because for the last few months I was working on different ideas every month, that I would basically pick a lane and stay in it for the rest of the year. And I'm all for experimenting. I'm less for making grand announcements for every experiment you're trying. I had a great conversation with a soon-to-be guest on Streamlined Solopreneur. Her name is Emily Aborn. And we talk about this, right? It's there's a problem in branding and especially personal brand where you jump around and you focus on too many things. And that's different from experimenting. So anyway, my accountability for this month in Podmatch Elite is to look at all the projects I'm doing and then just pick one to really focus in on for the rest of the year. Part of the problem is that I keep coming up with ideas I want to pursue. As a solopreneur, as a business owner, you probably have this same problem. I come from the development space, and so it was very easy for me to come up with an idea and put together something over the weekend. And I have to really fight. I mean, I don't have weekends anymore. Weekends are for my family. I don't have weekends to work, I should say. Weekends are for my family. So, but even this morning, I came up with a potential idea that could be good, but is it worth pursuing? And I know, I think I talked about this in a previous episode, but I basically have two brands I'm working with, Podcast Workflows and Streamlined Solopreneur, and those have some overlap, but I'm talking to slightly different audiences, right? Where one is busy solopreneur parents, the qualifier is different. One is busy solopreneur parents, and one is busy solopreneur podcasters, or maybe just busy podcasters, which is maybe too vague to be a good niche. But this idea could serve both, but I don't know if it's worth pursuing and how I would marry the two. So, I mean, my initial thought was, create like a, I don't know. I don't even want to say it yet because I don't know if this is like first, like my very first thought on it is I own Streamlined.fm, is like putting everything under the Streamlined brand a good idea. I guess I should talk to Holly about this when she gets back from her vacation, and like maybe run this by her, since she is ultimately working on my branding. Like, is Streamlined in general good branding to lean into? So that's what I'm thinking about this morning. Like, figuring out, it's always hard to figure out what ideas to pursue, and you're making a bunch of small bets. But I want to make it's the end of the year. I've had a good year. I've had a clarifying year, and now I'm ready to make a big bet. And so September is really doing some research to figure out the safest big bet I should make. So that's what I'm thinking about. If you are also thinking about that, let me know. You can respond right to the email that you got with this episode in it. I'd love to hear your thoughts. So yeah, I'm struggling a little bit, but that's what, the kids are back at school. I have 5 full days to work now. My father-in-law is picking the kids up after school. So I'm getting like an honest to goodness, like 8 to 5 work day most days, which is really nice. And I want to take advantage of that time. And the other thing is, like, at the end of the month, I'm going on this, it's called Cabo Press. It's in Cabo. It's called a conference. I really view it as more of like a retreat. And I want to have something very solid to bring to that conference and talk to other much smarter business owners than me about. I feel like the last few years at Cabo Press, I've been grappling with stuff and getting clarity, and it's always been great, which is why I keep going. But this year, I want to be clear, and I want to refine whatever it is I'm talking about. So that's what I'm thinking. Let me know. Respond to the email. I'd love your thoughts. Thanks so much. Hey, everybody. Happy November. I can't believe we are in November. October flew by really fast. I addressed that a couple of times on this show. But I am jumping in today, recording this, to talk about the work hangover. I just shipped my next LinkedIn Learning course. It's an update to one of my current courses, PHP for WordPress, where I wanted to update it for PHP 8 and the block editor stuff, and like what the block editor means for PHP, which is honestly not as much as I thought it meant. But I am, for a number of reasons, struggling this morning to really get in the right headspace. Part of it is, current events are looming large for me. I'm more anxious about current events than I have been in a long time. My poor Yankees forgot how to play baseball when it mattered most and lost the World Series, which is an incredible bummer for me. And as I record this, yesterday was Halloween, and so I've been staying up later and have not been eating very well because there's candy literally in every inch of my house. Not literally. It's everywhere though. And so today I really need to buckle down and do a few things. But I've got the work hangover. I expounded. I spent a bunch of energy over the last week working on the LinkedIn Learning course, like really working on it. Script writing, and then recording and creating slides and writing code and all that fun stuff. If you don't know, I've done this for members, but if I really focus, I can do a LinkedIn learning course in about 2 weeks. Um, they're a hellish 2 weeks, and I prefer not to do them that way, but somehow it always shakes out that way. Um, Now, my next course is like a full rewrite of a near 5-hour course, so it's going to take more than 2 weeks, and I'm going to have to manage my time better. But for this one, it was a simple update, and so I wrote the scripts over a couple of days, and then I recorded them all yesterday. But anyway, the point is, I am struggling this morning because all of my mental energy basically was going towards this one project, and now it's over. And I struggle most at the start of projects, like building the momentum. So I'm thinking about that today. And what I'll probably do is do a few small tasks, and then it's the weekend. I fear I'm going to be more distracted than normal next week, which is upsetting because it hasn't been a very productive several weeks for me. But what I'm going to try to do today is check a few things off of my list, a couple of easy wins. Aaron's working this weekend, so and I don't generally work the weekends anyway. So it's not really about building momentum. It's more about resetting the clock, or like resetting my headspace a little bit, and then doing the startup routine on Sunday so I can really have a clear vision for the coming week. So that's what I'm thinking about this morning, the work hangover. I'll probably do a newsletter about this. I've also been thinking a lot about how I'm going to manage this with the Podcast Workflows podcast and Streamlined Solopreneur with the rebrand. I don't want to have a podcast named after myself. I think that is both self-aggrandizing and doesn't matter for me. Like, most people don't know who I am, and so a podcast with my own name doesn't matter. But, with the personal brand shift, I am thinking more about how to streamline my content strategies to really focus on the things that will make the most impact in my business. So there you go, early November thoughts, and I guess going into the holiday thoughts and going into the weekend thoughts, all rolled into one. If you have any feedback or your own thoughts, let me know. You can respond directly to this email or at streamlinedfeedback.com.